You look so comfortable, it's unbelievable that you haven't been born in a kayak.
Oh, I feel quite comfortable, no. You feel like you could do this all day.
And you can just feel the kayak rolling with the water.
Well, you talk about the ultimate experience. Not only are we kayaking in the Arctic, but we're doing it with one of Canada's foremost kayakers, Victoria Jason. Now, Victoria, how far have you traveled through the Arctic?
About 10,000 kilometers.
10,000 kilometers. Wow. Well, I bet you got some stories to tell.
I have a few, and maybe we could sit down. I'd love to share them with you.
I'd love to hear a few. Whatever possessed you to take up kayaking at age 45?
Well, it was kind of a funny story. When my ex-husband and I broke up, he took the canoe, which used to be our kind of freedom vessel. So, in the end, it turned out to be the best thing he ever did for me because it steered my life in a new direction, and I started kayaking.
Victoria Jason's kayak has taken her thousands of kilometers through the treacherous waters of the Northwest Passage and introduced her to spectacular remote Arctic coastlines.
It varies a lot. That's what makes it so interesting to paddle, because you never know what it's going to change to. And, right from the very, very steep cliffs that fall into the ocean to lush tundra, sandy beaches for sometimes 40, 50 miles. There's beautiful sandy beaches.
No matter how captivating the scenery, Victoria was always relieved to discover civilization, small, friendly Inuit communities hugging the coastline. In hamlets like Pelly Bay, where now, after repeated visits, this adventuresome Manitoban and her kayak are a common sight.
You guys are really good kayakers.
When Victoria bought her first kayak,
You want to kayak again?
she was already a grandmother.
Tomorrow with
Yes, I'm hoping.
At the time, she was recovering from the after effects of a severe stroke she suffered in 1984 when she was just 42.
I had severe damage to my speech center and comprehension, short-term memory loss, and so I had to learn to speak all over again.
But it certainly came back big time.
Yes. Actually, well, and then I had the second one in 1991 when we were training for the first trip on the Hudson Bay.
2 strokes before you even got off on this Northwest Passage crossing.
But it seemed that the second stroke seemed to kind of fix things a bit, because after that my speech came back more.
Wow, somebody hit the right button for you.
Yeah, there must have been a blockage. So I was very fortunate, yeah.
For a lot of people, 1 stroke alone would have been enough to say goodbye to any notion of kayaking. I mean, wow, what a gutsy attitude.
I don't know if it was gutsy attitude, it was desire. Every time I looked at the map of Canada and I'd follow the Arctic coast on the map, and I thought, I just have to see for myself.
Victoria's wishes came true. She embarked on her first trip to the Arctic not long after her second stroke. It was the summer of 1991. Along with 2 experienced kayakers, she left Churchill, Manitoba, and paddled north along the west coast of Hudson Bay. What was the initial plan in year 1? To go from where to where?
From Churchill to Tuktoyaktuk. But we just barely made it to Repulse Bay. We were trapped 2 days out of Churchill behind heavy ice. There's just ice in every direction. And really, it took us 62 days to get to Repulse Bay, and out of that, we only paddled 31.
But the lure of the North now had a firm hold on Victoria's soul.
And even if I just see it bit by bit, maybe that will appease me. Maybe that'll be enough to get this haunting desire out of my head.
Unable to ignore the pull of the Arctic, Victoria took another leave of absence from her job as a data entry clerk at CN Rail in Winnipeg. It was early in the summer of 1992 when she set out on her second journey with her paddling partner. Thick ice, however, forced the pair to haul their heavy boats over the frozen Arctic Ocean.
The load was much too heavy for me, and all my muscles started to break down, including my heart muscle. Well, I was on the verge of cardiac arrest when I came into Joe Haven.
Close call.
Yeah, it was close. Very close.
The road to recovery took 7 long months, and that familiar feeling of restlessness soon haunted her again. She simply had to return to the Arctic for the bits of her soul she had left behind.
This was sort of like a holiday. This was to get away and do it on my own time, at my own speed.
She was alone and able to take her time when she made her 3rd visit to the Arctic. It was 1993, and Victoria kayaked the Mackenzie River solo from Fort Providence to Tuktoyaktuk. Is this something you would recommend to anyone to do?
Not alone.
But you did it alone.
I'd do it alone again. But I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Pretty tough alone.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It took a lot of mind control. Like, you have to be able to control your fear. And there's really nothing that can stop you if you control your fear.
Alone but fearless, Victoria continued her journey through what was perhaps the most challenging leg of all, the shipwrecked waters of the Northwest Passage.
I was prepared to stake my life to see it.
And you did?
Yeah.
Were you not afraid, Victoria, when you set out, having had a stroke, well, having had 2 strokes, that you would have one again while you were alone?
That thought crossed my mind, but if I had to go, I couldn't think of a better place to go. You know, sometimes I say to myself, oh, you old bat, like, what are you doing here? You know, at night I'd be cold, and I'd be hungry, and I'd be wet.
She enjoyed breathtaking sunsets and weathered wicked storms. She paddled through pods of bowhead whales and protected herself from grizzlies and polar bears. The physical challenges were constant.
Yes, it's strenuous. Yeah. But it was a desire that just couldn't stop. We did it again.
Victoria retired from CN Rail the winter after her expedition through the Northwest Passage. She used her time to write a book called Kabluna in the Yellow Kayak. Instantly, it became a national bestseller.
This is my first emoji.
Kabluna, which means stranger in Inuktitut, was the name given to Victoria by her new friends in Pelly Bay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Are you still a Kabluna?
Not in Pelly Bay. That's all I wear? Yeah. They even call me Kayak.
They call you Kayak now?
Yeah, the elders call me Kayak.
Kayak. Oddly, though, the one thing Victoria didn't see anywhere in her travels were Inuit using kayaks.
I felt there was something missing. You know, they have such beautiful shorelines here. Why aren't they out there in the summertime and exploring?
Where had the kayaks gone?
It seemed that there weren't that many elders left that remembered how to build them, and so it just seemed to fall by the wayside. The motorboats were a lot handier.
But Victoria had a vision, and last summer, with financial support from the local co-op, she realized her dream.
There's your paddle.
The people of Pelly Bay were learning to use kayaks again.
I know most of you have tried in kindergarten, but now you're 6 years old and you're in grade 1, and you're going to continue kayaking till you're famous kayakers and racers.
What was the reaction of the community?
Well, the children, of course, are really excited. Go all the way up to the rock. I couldn't step out of anywhere. Asking, when are we kayaking, Victoria? When are we kayaking? That's a girl. Reach forward. Pull the water back. The excitement just went through the whole community. And, of course, that gave me a lot of excitement, too. It's fun. It's lots of fun. That's good.
Endorsed by the elders, Victoria helped the hamlet of Pelly Bay launch its own Inuit-guided touring company for tourists.
So we're just going to head east, Tom, and then we'll go south along the mainland.
Ideal.
It's going to bring jobs to the people of the community, and if I have done my job right, I can leave in 3 years' time, and they can handle it on their own.
What is your dream now, Victoria? What is it?
The dream, if I were to come back to this community when I'm 80 years old, and if I would see a kayak on the water, that would be a real pleasure.
Victoria Jason's northern journeys have changed her life forever. She's now writing her second book. Not surprisingly, it's called Kabluna Returns, Arctic Summers in Pelly Bay.
Dear family, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you again. I really miss you all. And I'm looking forward to coming home, although there are still so many places I want to see.